Your nightly news with Rachel Williams begins now.
Good evening, everyone. A Glenorchy man remains in a critical condition tonight after a horror four-car collision near New Norfolk yesterday. Confronting new dashcam footage from a vehicle involved in the incident, tonight revealing just how quickly a normal day can turn to tragedy on our roads. And a warning, this story contains confronting images.
A devastating moment caught on camera. Shocking footage, proof of just how quickly circumstances can change. Recorded on the Lowell Highway near New Norfolk yesterday morning. The car filming one of four involved in the incident, which left 3 people in hospital.
It appears that a green sedan was heading towards Hobart from New Norfolk, whilst 3 cars have been oncoming towards New Norfolk.
The driver of the green car critically injured. A 27-year-old Howrah man driving the ute left with a suspected shoulder injury. A 60-year-old man and his wife from the United Kingdom also taken to hospital for observations. And the 22-year-old New Norfolk driver filming with a dash cam uninjured.
All 4 drivers of the vehicles have been taken to the Royal Hobart Hospital for blood testing for alcohol and drugs. So that again will form part of the investigation.
Police urging anyone with information, including dashcam vision prior to the crash, to contact Crime Stoppers. Michelle WISBEY, 7 Tasmania News.
A man has been shot in the leg during an alleged burglary in the early hours of yesterday morning at Colebrook. 3 men faced the Hobart Magistrates Court today, charged with aggravated burglary and recklessly discharging a firearm. The home's male occupant also allegedly shot a gun in their direction and has been charged with wounding. Fire investigators say a house fire in Launceston overnight was deliberately lit. The property on Punchbowl Road went up in flames around 9:30, with multiple Tasmania Fire Service crews attending. It took less than 10 minutes to extinguish the blaze, but the inside of the home has been badly damaged. Tasmania Police conducted investigations at the scene, but declined to release any further details. A Newnham woman facing a string of charges, including arson in relation to a charity shop fire in April last year, has appeared in the Launceston Magistrates Court this afternoon. The 35-year-old was expected to be sentenced over the incident and other charges, including stealing and stalking. But defence was granted a deferral on the grounds of awaiting a mental health report. The accused will reappear in the Launceston Magistrates Court in March. Tasmania's emergency workers are first on the scene in often violent, confronting and stressful situations. But who is on the lookout for their welfare? A Senate inquiry has probed mental health issues within emergency services, recommending changes to help our first responders.
Emergency services are there 24/7 to help deal with any situation. Medical episodes, fires, floods and violent crime. They're the people who confront challenging situations on a daily basis. While strong for their community, it can lead to mental strain.
Look, it could be simple things like traumatic scenes, and they can cause a lot of lasting effect on members. It can be emotional situations like family violence.
Tasmanian paramedic Simone HAIGH saw the impact on her colleagues.
There's been a lot of suicides over the last few years, not only in ambulance but police and fire, just in Tasmania alone, let alone the rest of the country. And we're seeing every couple of weeks someone's taking their own life in an emergency service, and I thought, well, we need to do something.
She successfully lobbied for a Senate inquiry that's just delivered its report. On a national scale, it highlights issues of stigma, a lack of early intervention, stories of workers who feel abandoned and have to jump through hoops to get treatment and compensation.
We're only as good as the support we get from the community. So, the preventative care is what we actually need so that we can have longevity in the job, but return to our families and have a normal life.
The problem's also affecting volunteers in the fire, ambulance and state emergency services.
They may just stop coming or just resign, but we don't know why. And so further on down the track, they may actually have a mental health injury, but it hasn't been picked up and they don't have support.
The Department of Police, Fire and Emergency Management says it's implemented a wellbeing program focusing on prevention, support services and awareness. Here in Tasmania, the government is also pushing nation-leading laws for first responders to make it easier to claim for a PTSD diagnosis.
The government is completely committed to first responders. It's why we are going to be the first state in Australia to legislate for presumptive PTSD, and we also have a $6 million wellness package which is focused on frontline workers.
A total of 14 recommendations have been made. The government says it's examining them. Michael Breen, 7 Tasmania News.
And if you or anyone you know needs to speak to Lifeline, you can call them on 131114. A Tasmanian business has been awarded an $8 million contract to build the towers for the Cattle Hill wind farm. Members from the GOLDWIN company managing the $300 million project flying in from Sydney today, impressed by what the Tassie team has so far achieved.
The Hayward site was all systems go this morning.
Pleased to have GOLDWIN down here and share this day with us. It's fantastic that we've got the opportunity to build 48 sections for Cattle Hill.
It's fantastic to have the local participation in a project like this. The Cattle Hill wind farm's got up to 150 people on site, and you can see here today at Hayward's the team assembling towers, just starting now.
30 staff will create the tower components, with the project boosting employment statewide.
Then all the other jobs are in Tasmania, with Liberty One still with cutting the plate. We've got McGilligans doing the blasting and painting. Our local NDT people, our transport will be local, and we'll have the other resources being supplied local to us, and many other suppliers get involved as well.
Roads to the Central Highlands site have been widened to accommodate the transportation process.
Starting around the end of February, transport will start in Bell Bay for the wind turbine components, and also from here at Hayward's for the tower components. And they'll be travelling about 20 loads per week.
To really give you an understanding of how each tower is made, the can I'm standing in right now is one of 40, which will be welded together to eventually support a 170 metre high wind turbine.
They're then blasted, painted, fitted out with all the platforms, ladders and internal components, electrical lights.
Despite a 3-week setback due to bushfires, the colossal clean energy project is on track to power more than 63,000 homes by the end of the year. GOLDWIN also renewing calls for the need of a second interconnector.
There's many other projects that have potential. It's really a matter of what's the market opportunity. That market opportunity really depends on the second interconnector to Victoria.
Jessie Gilmour, 7 Tasmania News.
A final mark of respect for Tasmanian war veterans is being put into place at a Launceston cemetery. The first of 70 headstones for unmarked graves have now been installed, with the project hailed as nation-leading by one of the country's most powerful figures.
They served their country 100 years ago, but only now are the bodies of these World War I soldiers being recognised. The first of 70 unmarked graves at Launceston's Carr Villa Cemetery have now received a headstone, thanks to labour supplied by Work for the Dole.
They love it and they get right behind it. You know, these guys serve, they deserve to be remembered.
The extensive project has earned the praise of Governor-General Peter COSGROVE. The former Defence Force Chief made it his mission to see the restoration in action before he retires from the post in March.
It makes you quietly proud to be an Aussie. It means that nobody's written off.
Many of the soldiers receiving headstones died some years after their service and therefore do not qualify for a government-funded war grave. Research has shed some light on why these veterans ended up unmarked. Often, widows did not have the means to pay for a headstone. In some cases, families had been torn apart by the mental scars sustained by those who served. The commitment to recognise every veteran at every cemetery could spread to the rest of the country.
We like to think that Tasmania is a canary in the cage for us. We would like to think that by the time Tasmania is essentially done, that there's a process and a machine that we can simply press into action should we be required anywhere else.
Filling a gap long overdue, according to the Governor-General.
They're fixing that up. I admire that greatly.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
New advances in genetic technology are shedding a light on just how we can better maintain and grow Australia's eucalypt forests. 120 of the world's leading eucalypt researchers gathered in Hobart today to discuss how we can keep our forests thriving in the face of climate change. Taking samples, scientists are now able to use DNA sequencing to improve breeding and conservation of the trees, ensuring they're around for centuries to come.
What we'd really love to do is really be enhancing resilience of our systems in changing conditions and with challenging environments that we're seeing. How can we really make the most of this knowledge?
The national and international researchers will now spend this week reviewing and comparing their own studies into the area. The state government is extending a second round of grants to help mining exploration. The first round saw 10 companies receive up to $70,000 per project to entice them to explore what resources are hidden underground in Tasmania. Western Australian-based Accelerate Resources explored near Mount Road on the west coast, but there's no timeline for actual mining operations, if any.
Well, I'm not going to anticipate the drilling results, but we know, and particularly from what we hear from industry, that this is why people are investing here in Tasmania. Without the exploration, we're not going to get the mining investment here.
The second round of projects will take place in the next financial year. Following a tough battle with bushfires last month, the Huon Valley is getting back on its feet, with preparations now underway for the 27th annual Taste of the Huon. Around 90 stalls are expected to fill the Ranelagh showgrounds, giving a much-needed boost to struggling local producers.
Lots of wine, cider, some wonderful food from the Huon Valley, and I think, it's been a bit of a sad time, but we are rebuilding now and we're all very positive of the future.
Food and festivities will rock the Huon Valley on the 10th and 11th of March. The Red Hot Chili Peppers have proven it takes more than an onstage power glitch to spoil their show. Hundreds of fans packed into Hobart's Derwent Entertainment Centre last night, revelling in the international act's first ever Tasmanian show. But after just one song, technical issues brought the sold-out show to a halt mid-performance. The band's bassist, Flea, left entertaining the crowd until the show was back up and running 20 minutes later. They'll now head to the mainland for their first national tour in 12 years. A Hobart theatre has been transported to 19th century Germany, with last-minute rehearsals underway for Old Nick's latest production, Spring Awakening. A group of students performing and directing the Tony Award-winning musical, and telling an emotional story about youth revolt and adolescence.
We deal with some darker themes in the show, but it's balanced out by some beauty and some nice humour as well. So it's been a really quite beautiful learning process and a great rehearsal process too.
The curtains come up at the Peacock Theatre on Thursday night, running until March 2nd.
The Glenorchy Knights has unveiled a new club logo ahead of its return to the NPL. The design is considered a nod to the heritage of the club, which was established in 1957. The Knights are returning to the NPL this season after they were relegated to the Southern Championship in 2016.
The last logo we had since 1997, when Football Federation Australia obviously took away all the European from all clubs, and it was time to come up with our own design and back to our heritage, 1957.
Glenorchy won the Southern Championship in each of its 3 seasons in the league and made it to the final of the Lacko Seljack Cup in 2017. The club's first game back in the state's top competition is on the 9th of March.
Good evening. Friendly Beaches and Fingal our top today with 28 degrees, Hobart 25, Launceston and Devonport 23 and Burnie 22. The early cloudy conditions gradually cleared during the day. Flinders Island 26 and Helens 25, Grove and Ouse 22, Smithton 21, King Island and Low Head reached 20, Strawn 18 today and Lyalweenie 17. Low level cloud over western parts of the state today and through Bass Strait. Afternoon convective activity over the east coast. Cloud linked to a cold front is over the southeast parts of Australia, with low cloud moving along the southern coast. Cold air is to our west and the tropical cyclone well off the coast of Queensland. Tomorrow a ridge of high pressure remains over the Bight, with a cold front moving along its southern edge right towards Tasmania. Troughs and low centres remain over the mainland. Westerly winds at 15 to 20 knots. They'll reach 35 knots over the south. Swells at 5 metres in western waters and to 6 metres in southern waters. Gale warning from Tasman Island to Low Rocky Point. A strong wind warning from Low Rocky Point to Sandy Cape, and a small craft wind alert for the southwest lakes. Tuesday in Hobart, partly cloudy and 19. 18 the top for Adventure Bay, a shower clearing. A shower or two clearing from Tarraleah as well, a cool one and 15 degrees. 22 for Launceston, fine and partly cloudy. Devonport 21 along with Bridport, bit of sunshine over the northern coast. Partly cloudy for Burnie and 21. 17 the top for Strawn with showers clearing. A possible shower for Marrawar and 19. 22 the high for St Helens and sunny. 23 for Swansea. Whitemark, an early shower clearing. 20 the top later. The UV all at 9s and very high across the state. On Wednesday, showers over the west and far south, fine elsewhere with westerly winds. Another mostly fine day on Thursday, just a shower over the west and far south again. And on Friday, fine and partly cloudy over the southern half, a sunny day for the remainder. Sunny and 34 in Perth tomorrow. Cloud clearing from Adelaide, partly cloudy and 20 in Melbourne. 26 degrees in Sydney with a shower or two. Sunny in Brisbane. Darwin expecting a storm. A little bit of cloud about. Hobart 18 degrees, Launceston 20 at the moment, partly cloudy in Devonport as well. Rachel, that cute comment before the break, I'm sure you're putting it down as a moment of weakness. I'll put it in my resume if I ever go for another job, ever.
Well, that's all right. I take cash or credit card payments if you'd like to fix me up later. Well, before we go tonight, a group of fishermen has helped reunite an otter and its baby in California. The group came across the pup who was swept away from its mother in rough surf last week. In a bid to figure out which otter was its mum, the men recorded the pup's cries and played them through a Bluetooth speaker. Amazingly, the mother recognised her baby's calls. The heartwarming video has now been viewed more than 500,000 times. Well, that's all your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks for joining us. Good night.